This meeting is being recorded.
Now, this Anapanasati meditation can be practiced being seated on the floor or the ground or on a chair. Now here we have to be very careful. The chair should not be too comfortable, because then after a while this can lead to sloth and torpor. In Pali this is called Thina Midda. If chair is selected, then the ideal will be a straight back chair. And must sit so that your back is a few inches from the back of the chair, so that you're not leaning, unless, of course, you have a back problem, in which case you can lean. Now, this Anapanasati is a Pali term which is Anapanasati, becomes Anapanasati. Ana means the in-breath, Ashvasa, and Apana means the out-breath, Prashvasa. So this Apana becomes Anapana. Then Sati is mindfulness, the awareness. So therefore this is referred to as the in and out breathing, the mindfulness of in and out breathing, or mindfulness of the breath. Now, to a person who is not very experienced in meditation practice, there are three methods given for the practice of Anapanasati. That is, one is Ganana, number two is Anubandhana, and number three is Pusana. Now this Pusana is the per, is the what's called the Mahaprana. Otherwise, Pu becomes like in, say, for example, Pulum. In Pulum, the Pu is not the Mahaprana, but here Pu, the Mahaprana, per is little similar to the A. I know. In Vinan, finally we have A and A. So, Ganana, of course, easy to understand. It is a counting method, which is not recommended to be used long term, but very useful for a beginner and also even for the experienced, when they find that their mind is agitated due to whatever reason, for a short while to practice the counting. Now this counting, of course, there are so many methods which I'm not going to describe now, but you must know that there's not only one method of counting, but there are several variations. Then the second method is called Anubandhana, which is called following the breath. Following the breath. Now here, the breath is followed only to the end of the nose only. We don't follow the breath as in some yoga breathing to the lungs and so on. So you go in with the breath and come out with the breath. That's the second method. The third method is, as I mentioned, Usana. It is something to do with the sense of touch. Now, when we are breathing, the breath comes into contact with the skin of our body at the nostrils, tip of the nose or upper lip. Now, this becoming aware of this touch sensation is not sometimes, sorry, sometimes I don't get the word. I need, it's not compulsory. Because with my, excuse me, with my age, I'm 82 now. Sometimes the words don't come easily. So it's not compulsory. There are only very few who will become aware of this touch sensation in a few days of regular practice. Then there are the other extreme. Now I know one pupil of mine in meditation who after 1 year of regular practice said he is still not aware of this touch sensation. Of course, these are exceptions. Usually, if you practice regularly, in a week or 2 or even 3, one gets the hang of it. The feeling of the breath coming into contact at the left nostril, right nostril, the tip of the nose or the upper lip, or inside the left nose passage or inside the right nose passage. So if once one is aware of this touch sensation, then we can use it as a guide to monitor the in-breath and the out-breath. In fact, once you are aware of this, you can combine it with Anubandhana. So this Anubandhana and Pusana can be combined. Then, what are the difficulties or problems we have during the practice? Especially for beginners, the noise or sounds become a problem. once Venerable Ajahn Chah asked one of his meditation pupils, I think a British person, so how was your meditation today, Anapanasati meditation? Venerable sir, it was good, but the problem is the various sounds, noises kept disturbing me. Then the monk said, if you stop disturbing the noise or the sound, then they will not disturb you. Of course, this is not easy to comprehend, but it is true. But I will not go into that. Hope most of you got the idea of one disturbing the noise and the noise disturbing you. So, when you are confronted with noise, external sounds, how you deal with it depends on what mode you are in. Because Anapanasati can be practiced the samatha form or the vipassana. Now, I am concentrating today on the samatha form of practice. So there, when one is, during the practice, when one becomes aware of sounds or noise, then with equanimity, you mentally repeat noise, noise, sound, sound. In Sinhala we say sabdayak, sabdayak, ahena, ahena, and so on. And then you will feel in a while that the disturbance is now less. Then you continue with the practice. And then so once you allow the noise or the sounds to be, then we'll have less of a problem. So the key word is equanimity. Of course, there are these Hellenisms. I'm not very good in English. Some call it equanimity. Some call it equanimity, but one day I was instructing an Australian person, and when I said you have to be in, I said equanimity, then he couldn't understand, so he asked again. Then when I said, you mean equanimity, so I thought maybe equanimity is the correct pronunciation. Anyway, whatever. Now, my first lessons in the practice of Anapanasati meditation began at YMB Dehiwala, under the instructions of Venerable Omagama Kondanya. So it took me quite a while to get adjusted to the various noise and sounds near the YMBA, because the bus halt to Petra, Nugegood and so on also was there. So you can imagine the noise and the sounds. But gradually, I followed the instructions of my teacher, Venerable Homagama Kondanya, then, and I was able to practice my equanimity so that it improved and the sounds ceased to be a problem. Now I can remember later on, I myself started instructing meditation, and one gent came after the meditation and told me, "Sir, I think now there's less traffic on the Gold Road." So obviously he didn't realize that it's not a case of less traffic, but he has mastered the art of being at equanimity with the noise and sound, so that he was under the delusion that there's less traffic. See? So actually, the traffic in Gold Road increases with time, not decreases. Then another disturbance is that they say that the mind doesn't stay with the breath, but goes here and there. The straying of the mind. Because straying of the mind during meditation is a very normal thing. In fact, there's a saying that if the mind doesn't wander, it's a wonder. But I don't know whether you got it, so I'll give the spelling, because my English is not that good, my pronunciation. The mind doesn't wander means W-A-N-D-E-R. And then it's a wonder, that is W-O-N-D-E-R. So there again, if we are in the samatha form, we acknowledge that the mind has strayed, and then come back to the breath with equanimity. Keep on doing that. Never mind how many times the mind goes away or strays, every time you have to come back with equanimity. And when you go on practicing like this, the straying of the mind will become less and less. Then another problem during the meditation practice is discomforts in the body during the practice. Now, if you are sitting cross-legged, some say cross-legged, I don't know what is correct. Especially if you are sitting on the floor or the ground, then the discomforts will arise relatively early. But if you are sitting on a straight back chair, as I instructed, then it will take a while for the discomforts to arise, but they will arise. Now, I also wish to draw your attention to another saying by Venerable Ajahn Chah. he says, pain is a friend during meditation. Pain is a friend during meditation. So what happens is, now Venerable Homagam Kondanya explained it very clearly. In the body, there's discomfort or pain. Then simultaneously, you find there's pain in the mind also, resulting from the pain in the body. So what happens is, in the body, there's pain, and in the mind, there's suffering. So the Venerable monk explained, when there's pain in the body, by default, the mind will react with thoughts of aversion to the pain. So the monk explained, actually, these thoughts of aversion generated by the mind is the suffering of the mind. So, in the samatha form, when there's pain in the body, you acknowledge there's pain. Rideno, pain. Of course, with equanimity, of course, although one may think one is in equanimity, in hindsight only one will realize that although one thought one was in equanimity, it's not 100% equanimity. So when there's gradually your equanimity towards the body pain improves, you find the suffering of the mind getting less and less. And finally, one fine day, you'll realize there's no suffering of the mind anymore. But of course, there's the remains of the body pain. And you realize in hindsight that this body pain is nothing of importance. Actually, see, mano pubbangama dhamma manosetta manomaya. So actually, the problem is the thoughts of aversion generated by the mind, and that is your suffering. And if you can gradually replace the aversion with equanimity, then the suffering of the mind will get less and less, and hopefully one day vanish. And then the body pain becomes insignificant. Actually, I'm talking through experience. And this, of course, somebody may be a little skeptical about this when you hear this. But if you keep an open mind without being skeptical, that is very important. Keep an open mind and keep on trying, then once one will realize the truth of this. So I was requested to practice also. Now, this is a brief, if the available time, briefly, kind of introduction to the Anapanasati practice. So now my instructions will be something like this. Don't do it just now. So I'll say first, gently close your eyes. Then my second one will be after that. Make your spine straight as possible. Then my instruction will be take a deep in breath and slowly, gradually breathe out, feeling the relaxing of the spine of the body. Then I'll call your attention to the posture. Now this is to bring the scattered mind to the present moment of time. But I suggest for 1 or 2 minutes, because it's worth the investment, the time, that we stand. We stand and do some deep breathing for 1 or 2 minutes to get rid of our phenamid. Do some, even if you don't stand, do some deep breathing, some controlled breathing. Better if you can stand and do it. Do some controlled deep breathing. Because being seated on a chair even for some time brings you discomfort. And then one feels like standing for a minute or two. That's the nature of our body. So if you are standing or sitting, keep deep breathing. That is controlled breathing. Okay, so now we can sit. Now we can close our eyes gently. And consider your environment with equanimity. There may be various sounds, noises, and so on. So be aware of that with equanimity. Now, make the back or the spine straight as possible. Take a deep in-breath. Slowly and gradually breathe out, feeling the relaxing of the body. Now, we'll contemplate our posture. First, bring the attention to your head, to the upper part of the body, to the seated area of your body. legs and feet. So now we are ready for meditation. Now we can start the Anapanasati meditation. That is to become aware of the in-breath and the out-breath. This has to be the natural breath. There should not be any attempt at controlling the breath. Whether we are sitting or outside meditation, when we are sitting or standing or sleeping, or whatever we are doing, the body will be breathing naturally. We don't have to tell the body how to breathe. So during meditation practice also of Anapanasati, let the body breathe in and out as it pleases. ආශ්වාස ප්‍රශ්වාස කියන්නේ ආශ්වාස ප්‍රශ්වාස කරනවා කියලා. But it is more right to say ආශ්වාස ප්‍රශ්වාස කෙරෙනවා. මේ කෙරෙන දේ කෙරෙන්න අරින්න කරන්න හදන්න එපා. If we become aware of any sloth and torpor, තීන මිද්ද, කම්මැලි ගතියක්, නිදිමත ගතියක් වගේ, then stop the meditation and do some deep breathing until you feel the sleepiness goes away. Then come back to the meditation, Anapanasati. The controlled deep breathing is to get rid of the sloth and torpor. If the mind has strayed, come back to the breath with equanimity. If you're feeling lazy or sleepy, stop the meditation for about a minute and do some deep breathing. Once that feeling has gone away, the sleepiness, can get back to the breath. If the mind has strayed, come back to the breath with equanimity. Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta. Now we can slowly, gradually start opening our eyes. If there are any questions or comments,
Thank you very much, Professor Raja. That was a brilliant presentation. Although you said you're forgetting words, it was absolutely brilliant. I benefited a lot by it. Much merit to you. Any other comments?
I can see
It was really wonderful.
I can see Anuja smiling.
So, Professor, just a remark. I think you followed very closely Venerable Homagama Kondanja's method, which of course he learned from Ajahn Chah. And so that was very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I'll end my session as in the customary way. Sabbityo vajjantu sabbarogo vinasatu mate bhavattvantarayo sukhidigayiko bhava bhavtu sabba mangalam rakkantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sada sotthe bhavantu te bhavtu sabba mangalam rakkantu sabba devata sabba dhammanubhavena sabba sada sotthe bhavantu te bhavtu sabba mangalam rakkantu sabba devata sabba sanghanubhavena sada sotthe bhavantu te. Sangat Terwan Saranai.
Sadhu.